Hi, it's Charlie giving you Friday's live trading. Hope you're very well. It's only just 7 a.m. I haven't quite logged in with the all my swing traders as yet today. We kick off at about 7:45. But just a quick start, really. Let's have a look at the euro dollar here this morning. We'll look at a few of them. It's rallied up and it into my red, horizontal red resistance line, which goes all the way back and further across my daily chart here. So we rallied up a couple of days ago, had an initial reaction, then yesterday came back up through it, and yesterday having another think about it. So, okay, fair enough. Let's have a look at the other markets against the dollar. So the pound dollar has really struggled in recent days, although overall it was generally it's been a lot stronger than the euro this year. It didn't fall as much in relative terms, but certainly in recent days, it's whereas the euro's been bouncing up quite well, and the pound's rolled over a bit. But it's trying to breach this channel here at the moment, and it breached it and it's come back in, so we'll see what happens there. Let's go and have a look at the Aussie dollar and the Kiwi dollar. So they've been pretty flat, look, very, very sideways, but again, just going into its declining trend line here, and it's a similar sort of situation with the Kiwi as well, which has actually got to its trend line, but again, very flat overall and sideways overall. So a nice reaction at the moment, I was expecting, but overall very flat, up down, so to speak. Now, so the euro, if we come back to that, it's been by far the strongest one moving up through this period, but it is at that resistance zone, and so I'm looking at this as, fun enough, I wasn't yesterday. I have the only trades I've taken this week. Well, the only trade I'd taken this week was on the long side of the euro back on Tuesday, back down at 118, just below 118.20. So I may well be looking at a short on the euro. So if we come down to the hourly chart, if we can get a bit of a bounce this morning, then I'll short the euro. I am in long positions at the moment, so it's quickly, for the purposes of disclosure, show that I am already in open positions. So they're just running there at the moment. But whatever I take today will offset whatever. So that's why I'd prefer to trade the euro, because if I'm going to trade the euro on the short side, it sort of acts as a sort of a natural hedge to my long positions there. Right, so I'll leave you to it for now. We'll see if we can get a bit of a bounce, and then we'll see if that provides a short or whether I have to adjust it or whatever. So I'll come back to this in a bit. Okay, just back here, and it's now 5 to 9. So what's happened since I did the intro early this morning? Euro did a little bit of a bounce, but not enough, and has then now just rolled over at the moment. But what was interesting here was this dynamic between the euro dollar, and it's quite good to, if you're trading the major currencies, is to don't be completely focused on one. Even though you might want to trade one of them, be aware of what those other majors are doing as well. So, for example, the euro's down at the moment. If we go and look at the hourly chart of the pound, that's having quite a nice bounce here. So, that gives me a little bit of suspicion towards this weakness on the euro currently, that the pound is having a decent bounce there, going back to the euro. Right, because otherwise, if I was just looking at this chart alone, then I could get, as a trader, think, okay, I want to short that, and it may well come down, but I'd like to see that there is some form of commonality amongst the other markets. So if we now go to the Aussie dollar, now, as I went through earlier, they'd had these big sell-offs overnight, but the Aussie's having a decent bounce here this morning, and the same with the New Zealand dollar as well. So the fact that the euro's just a little bit off here at the moment, it's the only one that's having a down bar at the moment. So now it could be that those others had much more severe sell-offs than the euro did, and the euro's playing a bit of catch-up. But anyway, the interplay between markets is important. So for me, I'm not going to be shorting this euro when I'm seeing these other markets actually having some half decent up bars and over the last couple of hours. So it's just a case of sitting back, not trading, and sometimes the best thing we can do is not trade and just waiting. So I am looking to potentially trade today, but I was saying to the guys that I've got the swingers with me today that if I trade, the most preferable trade now would actually be if the euro rolled up and was back up in this position, and everything's then starting to scoop up, then be looking for long sides, because it's still relatively close to its highs. So that would be the more ideal situation. But that's probably going to take a good few hours, taking us into this afternoon. It's only 10 o'clock now. So I'll press pause for now, and then we'll come back to it and see what happens. Resume. Right, and just back here, and it's now 10 to 1. So I had just had an hour and a half. Just I train on a Friday morning, so I was training with my PT and stuff. And as we can see on the hourly chart here, the euro, it's just been a chop fest. So a really good lesson in intermarket analysis, looking across those other currencies. Remember this morning that the pound had come down, it had divergent behavior, it had come down to its daily 100. If I take you out to the daily charts, there, my green moving average there. And so likewise with the Aussie dollar, that's bounced and reversed quite a lot off of its lows there. Again, because it had that sideways range, and all it actually did this morning or overnight was come down, took out probably a load of stops, and then reversed back up. So when I was coming back to that euro, that was giving me caution about getting on the short side. So just sort of left it alone. And and as we can see, it's just been up, down, up, down. So if the euro this afternoon was to come up, if all the MAs can get lined up, if they can, then I could see a potential trade somewhere up higher. I'm not going to try and buy it down here because I don't know. I haven't got enough confirmation down here. But if it can get up there, you never know. So I'll certainly be holding out for the next few hours. So I'll press pause for now and we'll just see what happens. I think one thing always I say when it comes to trading is you don't have to trade. There's times to trade and times when not to. Now, most of the time on these Fridays I will trade because I'll normally see something. Today, it's not been warranted as yet, but I am seeing something. If the euro can come up, then I could well trade it here this afternoon. But it's going to need to come up a fair bit, get back on top of my 20 moving average there, and if you can get on top of everything and the momentum, which you can't quite see, it's just off screen here. See if I can drag this up. There we go. So if the momentum can start to switch as well, that would be supportive. So we'll see how we go here this afternoon. But I'm not going to wait all day and night for it. If we can't get up in the next 2 hours, then it's probably going to be game over, and I'll say enough's enough. And sometimes you just sit on your positions that you've got, like the positions I've got, and say, right, there'll be another day, another week, and don't force it. There's no need to force it. So, and sometimes, I must admit, I always have a vested interest on these Fridays to trade. And so I'm always conscious of, am I trying to force it for the sake of doing a live trade on the video, or is this a legitimate sort of trade? So I have to make sure as well. So we don't want to be forcing it. I've done one trade all week this week. That's all I've done. And that trade was back here on Tuesday, down here when I bought the euro down here. So that's the only trade I can think of. The other trades that I've got open were from late last week, whenever it was. Then I started putting those in on the euro. So you don't always have to be doing stuff. Anyway, I'll press pause. We'll come back to this. Okay, just back here. And well, you can see what happened here today. It's been a bit of a chop fest for the euro, so it's been good that I've not traded here today. It had a bit of a rundown, and of course if you're trading on a 5-minute chart you can always try and scalp some pips here and there, but that's not what I'm doing. So the analysis was the right thing to do today, using that intermarket analysis amongst the markets to then just say, actually they're holding up. So we go back to the pound right from this morning when it came down, and I said, well, we got some divergent activity down here. It come down to that daily 100. So nothing to do. But sometimes, you don't have to. And like when I showed this morning, the account here is sitting on what, just over 3,000 of open profit, and that's trades that I've taken in the last week or so. Not this week. I did some of those were from last week, but I think to leave you on a note, the great Jim Rogers said many years ago that you make your money in trading quite often sitting on your hands. You don't have to be a busy fool trying to find trades every single day. Sometimes you can get into a trade and you just sit on your hands, and that's where the money is made. Hopefully, that gives you some food for thought today about intermarket analysis there. And as regards to what I've just said, I hope you have a good weekend. Give us a thumbs up on our videos as always if you like our videos, and by all means leave any comments as always. But not too much going on there with today's video, but still always some good lessons from these. Take care for now. I shall see you next week.